recent podcast appearance, NFL analyst Greg Cosell said that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson at this point in time. He said, quote, "I think the tape shows that. I know the tape shows that." Dak's own playoff win came against Wilson and the Seahawks. So, Shannon, question is to you, is he better?
Hell no. I don't know what Greg Cosell watches, Kev. He must be watching a foreign feature. He needs subtitles or something. Because ain't no tape he watching that where it's going to say Dak Prescott better than Russell Wilson. And I know Russell stumbled down the stretch, but he still threw 40 touchdowns. Russell is a top five quarterback. And he saw that after what? Dak played 5 games? So after 5 games, he said Russell played better than Russell Wilson. His 5 games versus Russell's first 5 games, Dak was better than Russ? Nah, I don't get that, Skip. And for the first half, he was the MVP. Russell Wilson was the MVP. Skip, Russell Wilson was the MVP. And then he started slipping away from him. We had Mahomes. He brought Mahomes into the mix. He brought Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen ended up getting into the mix. But for the first 8 games, Russell Wilson was the MVP of the season.
Got it.
And now he says Dak is going to be a better quarterback coming off an injury. That I don't know about all this with Skip. I get it. I think Dak is a good quarterback, but Dak's not better than Russell Wilson.
Got it. So, Greg Cosell is a longtime friend of mine. I've known him forever, and I respect him, and I admire his vision of quarterback play in the NFL. He's a regular on Colin's show, which obviously follows us here on FS1, and yet he lost me on this one also. But he's not alone in that kind of assessment of Dak Prescott. I'm with you. You can look hard at Russell's last 11 games last year, and he was second in the NFL in turnovers over the last 11.
Right.
He led the league in taking sacks over the last 11 games. Partly his fault, to your point. He's trying to throw the home run, hold on to the ball, try to make a play because he was desperate to make plays because what was the MO? Let Russ cook.
Yep.
And Russ would sometimes cook his own offense. And yet, this is not an unusual take to me because somehow, over the last 2 years, during which Dak Prescott has been embroiled in a contractual impasse with Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who is, to me, the biggest, easiest target in all of sports. Most people don't want to like Jerry. You know Jerry a little. I know him very well. It's hard not to.
It's hard not to like him, though.
Like, if you know him, it's just hard not
It
to.
is.
Right. But he is a big, easy target, and I think the world was rooting for Dak to take Jerry to the cleaners, and in the end, he did. Well, somehow, during those 2 years, Dak's popularity exploded. Obviously, he's got lots of national TV commercials, but his mystique, his profile also grew over the last 2 years in ways that shocked me because, again, over his career, dating back to his junior year at Mississippi State, nobody in the world has more publicly applauded and defended Dak Prescott than I have. But it was getting harder to defend him through, as you well know, the 2019 season because I just can't back it up. The first 3 games were off the charts sensational, and you said all 3 games were against garbage opponents, right?
Yeah.
Too many empty calorie type yards.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that's when the impasse set in because Jerry had said it's imminent that we're going to sign Dak after the opener, and then all of a sudden, here we went because obviously that's the point where Dak and his new agent at that point, Todd France, said, no, it's this.
Skip, what is it that last? Look, he's got his contract now, and I get it maybe a lot, and I agree with you. A lot of people are lobbying for Dak to get paid, considering that he had played so many years on a minimum contract, outperformed that contract, and Dallas hadn't redid the deal.
No
so
doubt.
I get a lot of people was rooting for him.
Yep.
But over the last 2 years, you see people start, well, I don't know, he's as good as Russ. He's better than Russ. I put him with Deshaun. He's right there, tick below Mahomes, Rodgers, and Brady. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Damn. I get you want the guy to get his money, and maybe Jerry's listening, but come on now.
How many Blue Mondays did I have having to come in here and deal with you through 2019
Yeah.
At New Orleans, remember that? At Jets, you definitely remember that one. At New England,
I mean,
at Chicago, at Philadelphia, the home games against Green Bay and Buffalo. And I'm just hitting the tips of the iceberg.
And think about, Skip, how many times we've come in here over the last 3 years where Russell had to pirouette, run 15 yards backwards, come 15 yards forward, throw the ball down the field to get a touchdown.
Yep.
We said they won this game. If Russell is not Russell, if Russell's not great, Skip, we don't say that about Dak. I mean, for the most part, I mean, when things go haywire, they look bad. They look bad. Yeah. Now, it's going to be incumbent upon Dak. Now, he's got his money. He has his security. He can throw caution to the wind. It's going to be on him, not Skip, to prove that, okay, you've been wanting this money. You got it. Okay, now what you going to show for it?
Okay. So what happened early this year to Dak Prescott? Opening game at Rams, new stadium. I thought he played great in that game, but they lost. Then we go, let's do at Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't play that well.
No.
They had a chance at the end of the game, and he could not come up big at the end of the game.
They really should have been 0 for 3. They should have started the season 0 and 3.
Then the Atlanta game at home, they're down 29-10.
Oh, that was the second game. The Seattle was the second game.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which way it went.
Yeah.
But the point is, they were so fortunate. It was miraculous that they pulled out the Atlanta game. And
Right.
Dak was tremendous in the third and fourth quarter.
Right.
Then came Cleveland. They're behind 40-14 in the fourth quarter. 40-14, and as you always say to me, did Dallas have the ball?
Yeah, they had the ball. Yeah, several times. And did nothing with it. That's how they got behind.
With it. And then he threw for 254 yards just in the fourth quarter and put up a lot of empty calorie yards, and they still got pretty much.
And see what happens if you don't watch the game, you just look at the box score. You're like, man, Dak threw for 474 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Wow.
Yeah, but 254 of those yards came in the fourth quarter when they were down by 4 touchdowns.
Then came that fateful Giants game at Jerry World,
Right.
and they fell behind 17-3 to a team that they were pretty significantly favored to
Right.
beat at that point. And Dak brought them back, but I don't know. Did he play better than Russell for the first 5? No, he didn't.
No.
And what did I propose?
Did he play
to you?
better than Russell the previous year? No, he didn't.
No, he did not. Definitely not the previous year.
You're right.
So it got so dark for me that I thought, hey, if Russell's got a problem in Seattle and Dak definitely has an impasse with Jerry, what did I tell you? If they would trade problems,
swap them.
Would I take Russell? Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Yeah, would I? Sure. He's more mobile than Dak, and he has a bigger arm than Dak does. Russell's got a huge arm.
Yeah.
Home run arm.
I don't know what it means. I mean, the guy, all he does is win. He wins.
He's won a bunch of games, and he's won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
He's done a lot of big things.
Yeah, he should be a 2-time, thanks to Pete Carroll, stop Russ from being a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
You could make the case.
Okay, well, I need to put that on tape. That's on tape. Russ Super Bowl win is on tape. Dak need to get me one of them, and then we'll revisit it.
Yep.
But I'm not saying Dak isn't a good quarterback. I just don't see him as being good as Russ.
The mystique has grown, and then
And he hadn't played in a year.
I know. And then I looked up going into this past year, and he's third in the MVP odds, and then this year he's all the way up to fourth in the MVP, and I'm like, where did that come from?
At least you can say, okay, well, they got Amari Cooper, offensive line come back intact. Okay, yeah, they lost Travis Frederick, but okay. But now he's coming back off a broken ankle, and he's fourth.
He's fourth. And I look at the big picture of this, and I say, well, wait a second. Off what? Because you look at the yards, he is now, in his last 17 starts, Dak is 6-11.
Right.
6-11.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's he going to win MVP if you can't win the games? You can throw for all those yards, but if they're not going to matter to the voters after midseason if you're not winning games.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to be 12-4, 13-3.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time we had an 11-5 guy that won the MVP. You look at the last couple, you look at Lamar, what they 14-2, Patrick Mahomes 13-3. I just don't see, Skip. I don't see you cannot go in 9-7, 10-6 and winning the MVP. No. You can get that thought out your head.
Okay. So we saw that his rookie year.
Right.
Took over for Romo, 4th round pick out of nowhere. Zeke took over the league. You had a at least top 5 offensive line.
Oh,
at that
absolutely.
point.
Skip, they
Maybe
were-
a top 2 or 3.
They were number 1 in time of possession.
Yeah.
So what they do, they minimize the defense being on the field because that was the weak link. They wore you down, time of possession, run the football, and then guess what? They got the ball back late in the ball game, and they had a slim lead. You couldn't get it back from them.
And
Pittsburgh.
Shannon Sharp called him Dink and Dak.
Yeah, I mean, he done changed. I mean, you know, he upgraded his resume.
Yeah.
But he ain't better than Russ.
Not yet. If he returns Super Bowls. Okay, I've been waiting all show to ask this question. Do the Clippers still have a shot to knock off the Lakers? Stick around because Skip